to another episode of the Little Things podcast.
Yeah, to the first episode of Little Things
That
podcast.
was a little weird that I said to another. that would kind of make you feel like there were other episodes. But this is the first, which is exciting.
Yeah.
You excited?
I am excited, and hopefully we'll have more for you in the coming weeks and days and months and year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how today goes. My name is Dan Bursch, and this is my co-host, Jesse Mendoza. We are, about 30, 40 minutes south of Seattle, local pastors in the area.
Mm-hmm. And we just want to share our heart with you on the little things. That's the name of the podcast, right?
Yeah, I always think as Christians we get really caught up on the bigger things of life. Who you're going to get married to, what kind of car you're going to buy, where you're going to live, where you're going to work. The big things. I think God's into the big things, but sometimes
definitely.
we, I don't know about you, but the little things seem to shape my life as much or maybe even more than some of those bigger things in my life.
Yeah, no, it adds up over time, those little steps that you take towards achieving that larger goal or that larger thing in your life.
So
they
really
are important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what this podcast is all about. We're going to spend every time just talking about some of those little things. Today, I think it's a fun subject. We get to talk about creativity. And for myself, I'm a piano player, songwriter, so I'm probably going to lean heavily on that songwriting portion of creativity. But I've noticed with creativity, we're in this social media world where you can see the best of the best.
Yeah.
The best artists, the best dancers, the best singers, and
The best video, the best podcast, the best graphic.
Right.
Yeah.
which, might or might not be what people are watching or listening to right now.
Yeah.
But with that, there's a challenge for each of us at that local level as artists, as creative people, on how to still bring out what's inside of us in light of seeing the best of the best in front of us on our smartphones, tablets, TVs, those types of things.
No, that's very true. I think that even people who speak, people who write, pastors on a weekly basis, they have to deal with that, because we live in a very media world. There's so much content on the internet, and there's so much thing that you can have accessibility to, and the things that people see on the internet, often you don't get to see the behind the scenes of maybe the mess ups or this not so produced out program or song or talk show or whatever it may be. There's always that.
the back side of the camera. Right?
No,
true. Well, and even I was thinking about this in my own life. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I'll listen to these worship songs that are absolutely amazing. Dante Bowie, I think is his name.
No.
I was listening to a song. It's not the most popular one, but it's called Voice of God.
Yeah.
And it was so moving, so incredible. The production was so high. His voice is so amazing that my whole family were all crying in the car by the 10th, 11th minute of this song. Just really powerful. But then I think about my own voice, and maybe someone can relate that's listening, but I can't stand my voice. I don't know,
I don't want to go back and listen to this recording myself.
No, I've never heard a recording of me singing and going, wow, that was really good. It's like, who is that? A whiny, kind of a nasally, who?
It's such a grueling process. If you want to be harsh to yourself, you can go back and listen to stuff that you've recorded. Well, and I do that from time to time, even on a Sunday morning, after I've preached or I've shared on a Sunday morning, or even when I used to work in television and I used to do interviews with people, I'd be like, man, my voice, what is that voice?
Yeah. I think we probably have a few listeners that can relate to that.
No.
And
that's true.
If you're a creative type, there is a moment where you just have to push through that.
Yeah.
I know for myself, once I realized that was my voice, I'm not saying don't try to get better. I think if you are on a worship team, if you're leading worship, you should be taking lessons. YouTube, there's so many resources out there on becoming better, whether it's with your instrument or with your voice. Like, you should be striving to get better.
Yeah.
But also, there are, again, just amazing artists and dancers and creative types in the world. We're seeing them on our Facebook posts, on our social media platforms, and to come to that place where you say, you know what, I'm going to celebrate their talent, their art, but also realize this is the instrument God has given me, and I'm going to be faithful to do what I can with what God has given me. And you do. I think you have to at some point get over yourself a little bit. I know a lot of very creative people who haven't put things out because they are so self-conscious, or they are just feeling like they need to get to a certain level before they share. And yeah, even there's some wisdom there, but some of these people, they won't share anything because they're so self-conscious.
Definitely. And I think that's a conversation right there, because like you said, we have people who maybe listen, who are artists. Maybe you play an instrument. Maybe you're even thinking about a podcast, or you've recorded a few songs, but it's just that CD that has sat on a shelf. I don't even know if we use CDs again in this day and age.
CD reference.
I just
That was
aged
good.
myself
That
with
was good.
that reference.
Popping in the 8-track.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's a dilemma of local artists everywhere, because I think that when you think about like Bethel or Elevation, in some aspects, they all started as a local artist, wouldn't you say? I mean, whether that was on a Sunday morning experience at their church, or whether that was like at a local cafe or at a talent show or with their families, something like that. And so I think they all started as local artists before it became this big produce show or artist that they are today.
That actually gets me going a little bit, because again, you watch all these videos, you don't take that into, you don't think through that they've been on a journey, they've been in a process. But so you're kind of watching the end result, or like a year 10, year 15 of this process they've been on.
Definitely.
But unfortunately, those people that have arrived to that point, so Elevation, Maverick City, who's unbelievable, incredible.
Phil Wickham.
Hillsong. I was thinking of Upper Room the other day. I was thinking of all of those groups that have made it there. I think they shop all at the same store. I don't know about you, but
maybe they do.
It's usually like some darker grays or some blacker colors, some darker colors. I actually have a funny story about that. It was a larger church. I won't say who it was. Larger church. They were asking me to play piano for them for one of their services, and so I came in, and I had my like bright blue and purple, like horizontal striped, I'd call my Blues Clues shirt on, which I thought was, pretty epic, and it was going to work well. And I just remember when the worship leader saw me show up, and he said, he goes, tonight, actually, the worship team were all wearing black. And I'd never been a part of a worship team with a dress code before. And so he said, we're all wearing, black tonight. And so I kind of stressed out. But then he said, don't worry, we have a wardrobe. Like, we have a shirt you could wear.
They had a backup for you.
And so that was my first experience even with that. But even there, so a group that's arrived and made it, so to speak, with the production, the cameras, the editing, the manpower. I mean, think about how many full-time people are working just to pull something like that off.
Exactly.
Including wardrobe, even maybe possibly makeup or hair, all those types of things.
And the budget it takes to pull something like that off.
But then here, I'm in unincorporated King County, and then serving the communities, small communities, a lot of people haven't heard of, Edgewood and Milton, Washington, where, maybe I have a shirt that I got at Burlington Coat Factory or over at TJ Maxx or Ross.
Old Navy.
Those are kind of my go-tos. But yet then I watched that video, and somehow I've allowed that video to influence me and to affect me to where now I'm self-conscious about even what shirt I'm wearing. I have a hunch that's probably not even their goal. Like they're just wanting to minister and to bless the world with worship music, and yet it ends up creating a lot of local artists to be very self-conscious about what we're wearing or how we're doing our stage presence and
Yeah.
holding the mic and all those types of things. I just
Yeah.
wonder if that isn't quite the win or the success that we wanted for the global church and the church that is the 30 to 40 people that are normally in a local church. If that's a real win for the local church when we're all holding ourselves to that standard of the best of the best.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. And I think, that the way technology has evolved over the years, it has just become this thing whereby we are making judgment calls. I mean, and we do it all the time on what we're wearing, what we're saying, how we look, how we're producing something. And I think, so we look at the content that is that 10-year journey that you've mentioned, or that 5-year journey where it is well produced and they have this huge budget, and we're like, I want that look, And so we're like, well, if my content isn't that good, or if it doesn't look like that, or isn't produced that way, then I probably shouldn't put this out, because then the internet is also this very harsh place whereby I always say the internet is savage, and people will say all kinds of things, and so that's a beauty about the internet as well, that you have accessibility to so much content and so much different pockets of creativity all over the world. And I think for local artists, I don't know, for some people, I had a conversation with someone about this the other day, and they were telling me that when it comes to the local artists, like, I don't need to vet that person. Like, I want someone to vet that person for me in a sense, and then maybe when they become mainstream, then I will be, they've arrived. I don't have to do that journey of them realizing who they are as an artist, or as that artist who's progressing over the years. And yeah, some people are like that, because with Spotify and iTunes Music, I mean, it's all the mainstream people. And so, but I think you have things or platforms now like TikTok, whereby people are just tapping into creativity and talent, and even on YouTube, where people are producing stuff, and you're hearing, oftentimes, if it's not like a unique tone or a unique voice or something that doesn't catches you within the first 5 or 10 seconds, maybe, people don't tune into that. But I think that in many ways you have things whereby you have crowds of people on the TikTok platform. I mean, I'm on TikTok, and so I watch some of that stuff, or even on Instagram Reels or that type of thing. And there are people on there that I have discovered, and super talented people, and I've never heard about these people before. Some of them are all the way over in Europe, some people are in the Caribbean, some people are here stateside. And so I think that over the years, that with all these platforms that we have, I think that yes, there is still a place for the local artists like that. I mean, I think it's good to go to maybe a local cafe and hear some songs that a local artist has written, though we're not able to do that stuff in this season. But no, I think there is a space for that. Just go sit down, have a coffee, maybe have a chat with someone. There's something to that. I remember when we were out in Detroit, that is something that I was attracted to. I'd go to the coffee shop, they'd have a show of a local artist on a Friday, and you just sit down and chill and have a chill time with friends or family, and you just spend that time listening to what they have. And that's not for everyone. They just want the artist that's arrived.
Yeah, well, and let me just shake it up with you a little bit here. Because even that TikTok comment, which I thought was good, but even with the TikTok, what you found was a really good artist.
Yeah.
And so it's still the best of the best. there was this great, like, it's going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
And, like, anybody can post anything.
Mm-hmm.
But still we just gravitate towards the really talented, really good sounding, really good looking.
Yeah.
We still gravitate. Now, they might have been undiscovered and then discovered.
Yeah.
But when you share that with me, I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering, where I'm shaking up a little bit, is there room for the normal person that isn't as amazing?
Okay.
Like me.
Yeah.
like
me? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
no.
And I think, so like the bigger question for me is, are we even like in our local churches or in like local coffee shops, are we making room for normal people to be expressed, their art to be expressed? Or are we, again, putting it to a standard that if, 300 million in America, and we're highlighting and exalting the top 0.01% of the country in their art, even the undiscovered that now are discovered, I'm just wondering, like, can you still celebrate the normal sounding voice that doesn't have a good high range, or the keyboardist that sometimes makes wrong notes, or the dancer who isn't the incredible dancer, like those types of normal expressions. And I guess for me, the question is, do we even have room for that? In fact, like right now, if you go to most recordings, they're all auto-tuned, right? Our ears are just set up to always hear perfect pitch.
That finesse song.
But if you're listening to someone on a Sunday morning in church service, you're probably not going to hear perfect pitch. What is our spirit towards that pitchy person? What is our attitude towards that pitchy person? Like, what is our heart towards them? Or do we demand whatever that recording we saw on YouTube? And I'm saying, and it kind of sounds like I'm whining or I'm complaining. If you know me at all, like, I celebrate the best. I love the best. I think, and I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm being moved by these artists. But at that local level, I just wonder if sometimes we're not making room for that expression. I'll put it this way as well. I heard someone the other day talk about being relevant.
Yeah.
And if you go to a local church, there's a certain idea of what it means to be relevant.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's so inadequate because relevant would be go to your local store, whatever store you want to pick, Target, Walmart, anywhere, see who's there. Yeah. And that is your neighborhood. That is, if you want to be relevant, then you would look like that. Yeah. And so that's what you would look like on your stage because that is your community. And so the people singing would be some younger, some older. They would be of different sizes, different ethnicities. Like that would be, I'm relevant. I'm a part of my culture. And yet, even in the church, the word relevant has narrowed us down to, again, you're wearing darker shades of a certain color, of a certain outfit, of a certain style, even of a certain music genre, with a certain level of artistic ability. And that's relevant. But then I'm like, but relevant for who? Yeah. Relevant maybe for Hollywood or like high production value or
Gen Z or Gen X or
maybe
TikTok
some of them
or Instagram Reels.
Maybe some of like the ones that go towards there. Yeah. But I don't even think that. I think that's a disservice to that generation to say that that's even what everyone that generation would be craving. And so that's where I shake it up a little bit of where has creativity, I think, gone astray where we can. I don't even know if this is possible, but it's the things I'm thinking about is how do we come back to a place. And I think I talked to you about this off podcast era, whatever you call this thing. The idea of having the global expressions, the national expressions, and then the local expression. And to celebrate those global expressions, celebrate those national expressions. But then is there room for the local expression? Thoughts on that? I know we talked a little bit about it.
No, so you raise a lot of good points, and I don't know that I have the answers.
Man, I don't.
To those things, but I will say that as someone who is always speaking to people and always have people that I'm in relationship with, I think for me, it's important that they also see that support from me on a local level. And I think it has raised a question for me that maybe where in my life, maybe I have been overlooking that in people around me who may be, just willing to sing a song or do something like this. And they're like, no, because you want it to be produced this particular way. I think for me, it makes me, just in my mind, I'm thinking about the people who I come in contact with, but also I think it is a good question in a sense of how do we support that on a local level with the people that we come in contact with? And maybe it is, I don't know. I'm stumped on that.
Well, and I think what you're afraid of with what that example of the person that comes to you and says, hey, I just want to share this song.
Yeah.
You're afraid that maybe they're just going to be flippant with it or they haven't practiced. Like there should still be a passion for excellence.
Yeah, no.
But even excellence isn't just like a global idea of excellence. Excellence is, are you being excellent, a good steward with what the Lord has given to you?
Yeah.
And are you practicing? Are you preparing? But I think we need to maybe, if I might be so arrogant, make a little bit more room for that person who's saying, this is the gift God has given me. I'm working my tail off to craft it and steward it and improve and grow in it. And then whatever that might be, whatever that offering might look like, that we would come around that person and celebrate that offering and say, look how God is working through that person. Now, if they're not being faithful with that
that's
gift,
a different
or
thing.
They're not stewarding it, that's something else, and you have to come in and work with that person. But I was thinking, even on this whole global, national, local thing, in music, specifically music, because I kind of hang out in that world, I do think we're kind of gravitating towards some of this national side of stuff. Again, and those are the songs I sing. I love those songs. But preaching. Yeah. I'm a preacher as well. Think about preaching. Andy Stanley, Craig Rochelle, some of these amazing...
Stephen Furtick.
Yeah. Amazing guys. But they're amazing, and yet most of our churches aren't playing a video of those guys on our Sunday morning service.
No, that's so true.
Instead, we are having a local pastor give a local message. And I've watched my sermon. I've watched some of the other sermons of the guys around this area. We're not at that level.
Yeah.
And yet there's a grace and an understanding for us not to have to be at that national level. And people will still come in. They'll receive the word. They'll hear the message. You know what I'm saying? They'll hear the message. So there's room in the world of preaching for that local message. And yet I'm not sure that in the music realm we have that same grace. Am I?
No,
at all
I think that's very true, but then it makes me also think back to a time when I was so rough around edges, and I'm still rough around edges in so many ways. But someone took a chance on me when it came to like singing on a worship team. When it came to working in media and television, there were times when, even today, where I don't hit that pitch or I just can't make it. But someone took a chance on me and they worked with me. Now, as an individual, I was working on getting better. Now, obviously, you haven't heard the Jesse CD or the Jesse song on Spotify.
The Jesse 8-track?
You haven't heard that. But I think for me, what it has me thinking about, even as we've been talking about this, that it's important, like you mentioned even earlier, that we need to be embracing of those people in our circle, so to speak, and say that someone took that chance on me. I am willing to embrace you in this process. And like you said, if they're not applying themselves to that process, then that's a totally different thing. But I've found often most people, they're putting out their best stuff, even at the local level. Even when you're writing and you're whether it's a sermon, whether it's a song, whether it's a design, whether it's a video, whatever it may be, I think that even churches and people outside of churches and small businesses and stuff like that, they're really trying to put out good content. And I think it takes us who are on a local level indeed to probably be more supporting of that. So maybe it might mean that you buy the local CD, or you listen to the local guy on Spotify or something like that, or you say, man, I'd love to do that with you, and you put it out there with that individual. I think that's probably, because it still takes me back to that whole thought process of all of these people, all these big artists that we listen to today. They had to start at a local level.
Yeah,
no,
that's right.
They had to start at a local level, and someone had to embrace them on that process.
I had a friend recently share with me one of Ed Sheeran's first recordings, and it's pretty rough, and yet, it's the journey you're on. So I want to wrap up here. I don't want to go forever, but as we wrap it up, I just want to ask you this question. So we probably don't have a bunch of, we've name dropped a lot so far. Mm-hmm. I can almost guarantee you none of those people are listening or watching this podcast. But we probably do have a lot of people listening or watching who maybe do have that dream or that passion within them. They do have, maybe it's music or dance or art, and they know that there's a stirring within them, but they're struggling to find a way to, maybe they've hit that block. Maybe they are insecure. Maybe they do feel rejected. What would be advice that you'd have for anyone that's hearing this and knows that they have that passion but are kind of hitting that wall? What can we do to get through that?
I'm going to tie this back to our name, About the Little Things. And so I remember that I would say to you that being faithful in the little things, a little step at a time. Maybe you didn't get the perfect pitch this time around. Maybe your hand fouled. How do I say that? Your hand didn't hold the guitar chord just right, and it didn't sound just right. Or maybe you hit the wrong key on the piano. I think that in those mistakes, we can learn from those things, but not stop in the process. I mean, it's not going to be easy, and there will be moments of discouragement, but I think it's in the little steps. It's by consistently taking faithful little steps that you're able to get to that, place whereby you're confident in putting this out there. I think do not stop your creative process. Do not stop your writing process. Do not stop your singing process. Do not stop whatever it is, whatever that area of creativity is for you. Do not stop that thing because you've hit the wall in a sense and it does not look this specific way, because the big things that we look at even today, they started with the little steps that led to this big production. That's what I would say.
I would add this, to be open to feedback, to have one or two people in your life that you trust to give you honest feedback. They probably need to be someone who loves you.
That you trust and loves you indeed.
Criticism, critical, all that kind of stuff can get kind of tough. But if it's someone that loves you, to be open to their feedback. I know for all of my songs, I have my brother Jeff, who's an amazing songwriter. He looks at them all. He critiques them. He gives me suggestions. So open to feedback. But then also, I would say, if you can, find a way to share it with us. I would love to see whatever that is, whether it's a painting or a poem. A lady just shared a poem with me last week. It was absolutely beautiful. I asked her if I could share it on my Facebook. Still waiting for a response on that. But if you can send it over to us, that would be amazing. We want to celebrate what you're doing. If you want feedback, I'm more than willing to do that too. But probably more than anything, we just want to celebrate it. And if it can start with us, where we do make room for the local artists to express what God has given you and what He's wanting to do through you. Yeah,
definitely. Cool. I think that's good. That sounds good. Send it to us.
Thanks for joining us on the Little Things podcast. We'll see if there's another one, but I think there will be. This has been fun.
I hope so. I'm Jesse, and you are?
I'm Dan.
Thank you for listening and watching us today. You can catch our podcast on any of your social platforms. And
see you next time on the Little Things podcast.
We'll see you then.